Number 10. Shag Harbor. Shag Harbor is a small place located in the southern part of Nova Scotia, Canada. It's a tiny fishing village that's only claim to fame came on October 4, 1967, when reports were investigated of a mysterious UFO incident. Something strange was witnessed at 12,000 feet, 3,657 meters, when an Air Canada first officer named Robert Ralph saw something strange on the left side of the aircraft. The object was lit up brightly, it looked rectangular, and it had small lights trailing it. A few minutes later, there was a great explosion. A blue cloud enveloped the object, and it was gone. At the same time, people were reporting a glowing object in the sky in Halifax. It was about an hour later that the people of Shag Harbor witnessed an unidentified flying object cruising through the sky and then crashing into the waters just in front of their little village. A small group of locals reportedly discovered a glowing object that they thought was a crashed airplane about 800 feet, 243 meters offshore. They contacted the police, who sent rescue efforts to look for survivors, but the glowing wreckage disappeared and was never discovered. It also turned out that there had been no aircraft missing from the area, meaning there was no possible way that whatever crashed into the harbor could have been an airplane. This was taken so seriously that the Canadian Navy showed up and combed the bottom of Shag Harbor for 3 days. According to the officers, however, they never found any trace of any mysterious glowing object. Number 9. Zimbabwe alien landing. In Zimbabwe on September 16, 1994, one of the most bizarre UFO sightings ever reported went down. It was just outside the small town of Rua at a school of all places. There were 62 students studying at the aerial school, all aged between 6 and 12. The children say they saw a silver craft come out of the sky and land on a field nearby. They then witnessed several creatures dressed in black leaving the ship. These unknown creatures communicated with the children telepathically. They left messages in their minds that the planet was in serious trouble and that if environmental action wasn't taken soon, all hope would be lost for humanity. They basically warned a bunch of school children that we all need to start taking better care of our planet or we're going to die. This is still the most famous UFO case in African history. Africa isn't generally considered a UFO hotspot, and yet in the days prior to the incident, there had been quite a few UFO sightings all throughout southern Africa. People also witnessed fireballs passing through the sky during the night. And to make this even more convincing, many of the students to this day adamantly stick to their story that they did see aliens and receive the telepathic warning. Number 8. Travis Walton. Travis Walton was allegedly abducted by an alien on November 5, 1975. At the time, he was working for the American forestry industry. He was in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forests in Arizona when he went missing for approximately 5 days and 6 hours. This is not debatable. Travis really did go missing and was unable to be found even when search dogs and helicopters went after him. He reappeared suddenly on the side of the road near the small town of Harbor, also in Arizona. He received a significant amount of publicity when it came out that the reason he was missing was that he reported he had been taken up to an alien spaceship. Travis claimed that a giant saucer-like object hovered about 110 feet, 33.5 meters away from him off the ground, buzzing very loudly. He approached the object, a beam of light appeared, and he was knocked unconscious. When he woke up, he was in what appeared to be a hospital. There were short creatures surrounding him that definitely weren't from Earth, as well as ordinary humans. He remembered something being placed over his face, some kind of respiratory device, and that was all he was aware of for 5 days, until his reappearance roadside. Number 7. Donut UFO. On November 8, 2021, a photographer in Zurich, Switzerland pointed his camera up at the night sky and took a few pictures. He was photographing what appeared in the images to be a donut-like UFO, a bluish orb of light in the sky that looked like the breakfast treat due to its composition of concentric circles. At the time, he thought he was photographing SpaceX's Endeavour capsule, which was scheduled to return to Earth that exact night. However, the SpaceX capsule landed in the Gulf of Mexico over 5,000 miles from Zurich. There's no way that his blue donut UFO was the SpaceX capsule. So what was it? That seems to be the big mystery right now. It could have been a fuzzy picture of a very distant star, it could have been a chance encounter with a fast-moving UFO, or it could be something we have yet to discover. The mystery remains. Number 6. Roswell. The most famous UFO encounter in the history of humanity appeared in 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico. U.S. Army Air Forces said in a press release that they had recovered a mysterious flying disc from a Roswell ranch. It was actually the rancher who found it, W. Mac Brazel, and it wasn't exactly in Roswell, but 75 miles away in Lincoln County. When the farmer found the wreckage, he immediately brought some material to the local sheriff, who then brought it to the attention of the local army colonel. The next day, rumors were already going crazy. There was a statement released by the Roswell Army Airfield that said a mysterious disc had come into their possession. But here's why Roswell got so famous. The government immediately changed their story, then they kept on changing it over and over again. For anyone paying attention, it seemed as though they were just scrambling to cover something up. After the Army said they found a flying saucer, they changed their story to a weather balloon. And then in 1994, just about 50 years later, they admitted that the weather balloon story had been a lie. They instead claimed that the wreckage was from a spy device which was supposed to be floating over the USSR to take pictures. If you're wondering about the supposed alien bodies that were removed from the site, the Army finally admitted in 1997 that these were actually parachute test dummies. None of this obviously makes any sense. The ever-changing story makes sifting the truth from the lies especially difficult. The worst part is that we just don't know whether aliens really did crash in the New Mexico desert, or if it was just a bizarre military spy machine. What do you think happened in Roswell? Let me know any of your theories in the comments, and don't be afraid to sound a little bit crazy. And before the end of the video, don't forget to hit subscribe for more great content. Number 5. Delta Airline Sighting. In early 2020, an unidentified flying object was spotted over the Canadian province of Saskatchewan by a pilot traveling in from Fairbanks, Alaska. The incident was filed with Transport Canada's Civil Aviation Daily Occurrence Reporting System. The pilot with Delta Airlines witnessed something that they couldn't identify directly above them, moving from the right to the left. It couldn't have possibly been another airplane because the pilot was already cruising at 39,000 feet, 11,887 meters. And when the pilot inquired about the mysterious object, air traffic control said that there was no known traffic in the area. At this point, nobody knew what the strange object was or even if the pilot had seen anything at all. But according to UFO expert Chris Rotowski, the fact that it was a real pilot who reported the incident means a lot. These people spend a significant amount of time in the sky and would never report a UFO unless they really thought they saw something. While we don't know for sure if this was an alien in the middle of absolute nowhere in northern Canada, it definitely could have been. Number 4. Hollow ship. According to a legend, a mysterious vessel drifted in from the ocean to land on the coast of Japan back in 1803. From the strange vessel, a beautiful woman emerged. She was wearing peculiar clothing that no one had ever before seen, and she was carrying a box under her arm. She couldn't communicate with the locals because she spoke an unknown language. Even her craft was marked with strange scribblings that no one could understand. The ship became known as the Utsurobuna, which translates to hollow ship. And believe it or not, there are actually quite a few historical records of this incident in what is today the Ibaraki Prefecture. What makes this story really unique is that there are over 11 historical accounts of the Utsurobuna coming to shore in 1803. There are plenty of outrageous legends in Japanese folklore, but none of them are put forward as real events that truly happened on specific dates. Something definitely happened in 1803 to inspire so many stories of the beautiful woman and her ship. But whether it was a Russian whaling vessel that washed ashore or an alien spaceship, we'll probably never know. Number 3. Orb Over Mexico. Shocking new footage has just been released of a glowing orb spotted over Mexico. The orb was shaped kind of like a teardrop, and it was seen by a pair of pilots for FedEx on March 19, 2020. The FedEx pilots were flying near the city of Monterrey when they witnessed the glowing orb hovering above their windshield. What the pilots couldn't understand was why the orb didn't appear on their radar. At one point, the glowing orb descended rapidly from the sky and then matched the altitude of the cargo planes. It flashed a beam of light in their direction. The orb zoomed alongside them for 30 minutes, and then it vanished in a flare of purple light. Keep in mind that this really did happen. The footage of the amazing encounter has since been analyzed by experts with the National Aviation Reporting Center on Anomalous Phenomena. They have a database going all the way back to 1916, comprising all information about UFO encounters. And these guys say this one is pretty legit. Both the pilots who witnessed the orb can claim 30 years of experience in the private sector and the U.S. Air Force. They have no reason to lie or to sacrifice their integrity to report such a shocking UFO sighting. Number 2. The Nuremberg Sighting. The most ancient UFO sighting that we're going to talk about today came from 1561 in Nuremberg, Germany. It was April 14th when several residents claimed they saw not only orbs glowing in the sky, but cylinders, rods, and all kinds of other bizarre objects just as the sun was rising. The objects apparently flew across the face of the sun as if there was some kind of celestial battle happening. And apparently the townspeople saw a huge black triangular object nearly blot out the sun just before they heard a crash from beyond the city. How do we know this event actually took place? Historians know it because a professional painter named Hans Glaser produced a piece of artwork based on the event and left behind a written description. But what actually happened might be a little easier to explain than a celestial battle. Scientists say it could have been the phenomenon known as sundogs. This is when light passes through ice crystals to create strange shapes directly in front of the sun. For those who have never seen the phenomenon before, it might look like a space battle with lots of orbs and triangles. But then again, the people of Nuremberg may really have witnessed a host of UFOs passing through our solar system. We just have no way of knowing. Number 1. Barney and Betty Hill. Betty and Barney Hill defined a generation of UFO believers. They claim to have been abducted by extraterrestrials while traveling through New Hampshire in 1961. The Roswell crash happened 20 years before, but this was the first widely discussed alien abduction in the U.S. It actually became known as the Hill abduction. It was adapted into a book, it became a movie, and people are still talking about it today. Here's what happened according to Betty and Barney. They were driving to Portsmouth from Niagara Falls when something appeared across the face of the moon. It looked like an airplane, yet it was glowing and weirdly colorful. They realized it wasn't an airplane pretty quickly, especially since it seemed to be coming right for them. The object passed over a signal tower at the top of Cannon Mountain. It didn't make a sound, and then it lowered itself directly above their vehicle. Barney exclaimed, "They're gonna capture us," and tried to drive away at high speed. Both of them heard a bunch of beeping and buzzing sounds, the car vibrated, and all of a sudden they had traveled 35 miles with absolutely no memory of what happened. They never claimed to be poked or prodded by alien instruments. The Hills simply said that they saw the UFO, they missed a whole bunch of time when they blacked out, and their car was damaged from something unknown. Plus, for years after, Betty was plagued by horrible nightmares. Have you ever experienced an encounter of the third kind? Let me know in the comments and don't skimp on the details. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time for another amazing video right here on American Eye.